We agree that always a ceiling can be put on profit, but not a floor. That is not a minimum to either party. Because what does it mean if we agree that whatever profit we make, suppose we distribute it 50-50, let's say for simplicity, but provided your share does not exceed $1,000 or does not exceed 7% of your principal. It's okay either way. And the rest is to me as bonus, as whatever, for my effort between the two, the wakil and the principal, or the mudarib and the fund provider. It can be that way. Even between two partners, one of the partners agree with them because of many reasons, that expertise in business, etc., etc., that, okay, if I make 7% of my capital or 10% of my capital, I am satisfied. I don't want more than 7%. And the others, as a maximum limit, it can be put. There's nothing that prevents it in Sharia. And it means that he or she voluntarily gave up whatever that he may otherwise or she may otherwise deserve of the profit to the other party. So forsaking it is permissible because it's based on basic human rights. You can do whatever you like with your man, with your property. So it's based on that basic human rights. And basic human rights is also in Sharia very often is said as basic freedom of contracting. Of course, when there is a Sharia limit, and the Sharia limit has always a reason and a wisdom, but anyway, whenever there is a Sharia limit, we abide by it. On the other hand, can we make a minimum level of profit? That cannot be done because that amounts to guaranteed interest. And notice, a minimum profit means in fact two things. One thing is profit and the other one capital guarantee. So it means capital guarantee, and capital guarantee makes whenever there is capital guarantee, you cannot earn return. Because
the central bank is giving the rule that the bank should guarantee the capital. And the Islamic bank is obliged to do so. Is it like permissible? Can we comply with?
No, you cannot. As a matter of fact, as a reality, no, you cannot. But when it comes to comparing between different evils, and that case happened in the UK, the law in United States, in United Kingdom, requires banks, that is, if you open, if you are permitted, if you are licensed to accept deposit from anybody, from the public. Once you open to the public for accepting deposits, the law requires that you guarantee the capital. And as in Sharia, you cannot guarantee the capital when you take the funds on wakala basis, because the ownership remains in the hand of the fund provider, and you are only a wakil. That is the concept of mudaraba, as we will discuss it later. We will study it. So as a depositors in Islamic banks, you cannot be guaranteed the principal. The moment you are guaranteed the principal by the agent, by the other party who manages it, the manager, that amounts to transforming the deposit into a loan, because the loan is guaranteed. Okay? And that is a characteristic of a loan. And if you give a loan, any increment on it becomes interest, haram. So the choice was for people who established Islamic banks in UK There are several Islamic banks now, and several branches of Middle Eastern Islamic banks. The choice was either you don't have that service at all because the law doesn't allow it, so you are kicked out, or accept it, and the solution they got, it is a lame solution, يعني أعرج, definitely. It is a lame solution that we will inform our depositors that the law requires us to guarantee the principal. Most likely, we will not reach that problem. We will not. That happens only at the time of bankruptcy. So most likely, we will not reach that problem. But should that happen, if you take it, it is haram in Sharia. The law allows you to take it, and you can take it. We are obliged to give it to you. But if you do that, you would be taking something that is haram. They added this statement to the deposit contract. That was definitely a lame solution. It's not a Sharia solution, but it is a solution based on weighing the two sides. Which is more of an evil? Not to have Islamic finance available for Muslims in Britain, or have it and have this problem. So the Sharia people who worked on these contracts thought the second option is the least of an evil. It's not the Islamic solution.
Can I provide a third party
Yeah.
who might guarantee my deposits?
Yeah, but providing a third party, we discussed it last time, it is permissible for a third party to guarantee. But why should any third party guarantee? Private sector. Why should any third party?
It can be a scaffold insurance company.
And you pay it.
Which might be...
You pay it. It's not going to do it free. Only governments, in reality, only governments may do a third-party guarantee free of charge, using the taxpayer money. And of course, if the government is democratic, it has to justify the use of the taxpayers' money in a real way. Cannot just do it and get away with it like all the Arab governments get away with whatever they do. That doesn't work in any democracy. So if you are going to use my tax, I will question you. How are you using it? Okay. So that's definitely an issue, and only governments practically can make that kind of offer. And even democratic governments may sometimes offer such a guarantee. For instance, in strategic industries that are needed for the proper living of the people, the society, the economy, that have many implications. That may happen, and it is being done historically by many democratic governments. Of course, it is done by many dictators. Dictators usually guarantee their favorites and the people they always sponsor. So that is done. They give them all the wealth of the economy or the society anyway, and deprive other people. That happens all the time. But the point is, yes, a third-party guarantee can do anything without any limit, because there's no limit on it at all. A person takes disposes of own property the way that person likes, and you cannot put a limit on that, definitely. But most of what is called third party in the private sector is really fake third party. You create an SPV, special purpose company or vehicle, we call it, and the SPV is owned by the beneficiary, and then the SPV guarantees, but the SPV cannot guarantee. It represents the beneficiary. In fact, it's the other party who is guaranteed. Or taking a takaful who is going to pay for it. Paying for takaful makes it second party, not third party. Because the wakil, if the wakil buying the takaful and paying for it, of course, It is a second party, not a third party. Okay? So the guaranteeing minimum definitely doesn't work, except in the mentality of Sayyid Tantawi rahimahullah. And that يعني علي جمعة ما له حساب أصلا هناك ما يعني غير محسوب. أما ذاك يعني الله يرحمه راح لرحمة ربه. وما بنترحم على كل الناس. شوف في ناس يلي ثبت لدينا فسوقهم وضلالهم وعدوانهم على الناس فما بنقول رحمه الله، لا بنقول ذهب إلى حساب ربه. أيوة أفضى إلى ما قدم، بس ما بنقولش أبدا رحمه الله، بل نعترض على الكلمة إذا قيلت أحيانا، لأنه أذكر مرة قالها أحد الناس معنا في أمريكا فاعترضنا عليه يعني بشكل صريح. أحمد الملط عضو مكتب الإرشاد تاع الإخوان بمصر في ذلك الوقت بزيارة لأمريكا قال السادات رحمه الله الله يرحمه. قلنا له الله لا يرحمه، لأن السادات عمل الفجور الكبير بكسر الحاجز مع المحتل الإسرائيلي. كسر هذا الحاجز كان يعني هو اللي جر بقية الأذناب العرب للمصالحات اللي عملوها بعده. على كل حال هذا موضوع آخر. A guarantee of a ceiling transforms the transaction into a loan, and a loan, any increment in it is riba.
Guarantee of a floor amounts.
Sorry, a floor. I said a ceiling. It is a floor. Ceiling is always permissible. Okay, and it is permissible to either party, not only to the principal owner, also to the mudarib or the agent. And I'm saying mudarib or agent because we will notice later when we reach mudaraba that every mudarib is an agent, but not every agent is a mudarib. Could be investment on agency basis and could be also investment on mudaraba basis. The next point is the conversion is so simple and so easy. You can always convert a debt on, say, a company or even a person through basically one of two ways that are Sharia compliant, that are permissible in Sharia. One, to issue more new shares and replace these shares for the debt. That is, the debt owner will take these shares as part instead of his debt. That means increasing the capital of the company. And those of you who know accounting will notice that what we are doing in that, in fact, is only transferring the debt. Instead of being under liability, it becomes under equity. There will be no change in the asset side at all. But here the debt, instead of being a liability on the company, becomes part owner of the total assets in proportion, of course, to the amount of the debt. The other way may not require increase of capital and issuance of new shares, but you may buy some of the assets in the amount of the shares and lease them or dispose of them in any way. And we know that these kind of transactions happen everywhere in the world, that a creditor takes some of the assets of the debtor in mutual agreement as payment for the debt, and then disposes of them in any way. Citibank did that when after the crisis of 2008. So that can be done by any company. So that is the main thing, of course. And then we want to go to our discussion today, and we will have a presentation. Today we have only one presentation. Okay, so we will, inshallah, do the presentation also. We didn't come here. So what did this man do?
I think he turned on the camera.
Only turned on the camera? I should have his telephone number here only I don't have it. Anybody has it? Can call anyone of them? Sorry. Well, not wait, but that's really makes us feel sorry.
Is it freeze?
Hmm?
It freeze?
No, he didn't connect me.
I connected this one.
That one? Yeah, there is a connection between these two. Can you try to connect this then instead? Anyone knows a little bit about this? Where is that connection that comes there? One of these, I suppose.
No, this is the screen.
شوف يعني either way شوف لي يعني من اللي ممكن let's see if this works. Do you think this? Okay, try that. Okay, fine. شكرا. جزاك الله خيرا. طيب, we want to discuss, we'll try to do it quickly anyway, to catch up on. We agreed on not this Saturday, next Saturday. Saturday, 10 days from now. Okay, Saturday, 10 days from now at 9 o'clock in this place, inshallah. So we'll take the session 4 quickly and okay, we want to discuss nominate finance contract. يعني العقود المسمات. Okay, now for the Sharia graduate, العقود المسمات is known in fiqh, but we are taking out of it only the finance ones. We are not taking all of them, of course, because we discussed the finance. Now, why we are taking this? Because of the following. العقود المسمات, nominate finance contract, came in our classical fiqh for a long time. They are well defined, and understanding them makes really the foundation of creating any new contract that suits whatever situations we are in. We will notice later that, in fact, almost all what Islamic banks do today are not uqud musammat. They are structured contracts, hybrid contracts, built specially to suit the transactions of Islamic finance and banking in today's world. Of course, some of them, we use them almost as they are, but not even exactly as they are. But what is important is to notice that all these hybrid or constructed contracts, العقود المولدة أو المركبة, all of them are in fact based on the العقود المسمات, on these nominate contracts. So understanding nominate contract makes the basis of understanding Islamic finance. And all the issues of Islamic finance and Islamic finance contract will come with us through studying the al-uqud al-musamma, the nominate contract. It is really the basis, the foundation of understanding what Islamic finance is. Al-uqud al-musammat are contracts that exist with their names and their characteristics in the classical fiqh. They have been there, known, well defined. Their characteristics are known for centuries, not less than 1200 years. So they are well known, well established, they enter in everywhere, and we find them in all schools of fiqh. The hybrid contracts are contracts that are created specially, structured by adding contract together, combining contract together, or bringing conditions from outside and plant them in some contract to make some changes that makes them suit the what is the desired objective of contemporary Islamic finance. So this is a basic thing that we need to understand it. And I believe, and I argue for that, that understanding the Islamic, the nominate contract, Islamic finance nominate contract is essential to understand Islamic finance, definitely. So we have only 3 groups of these contracts: either sale or lease or sharing. These bring us revenue, and we will talk a little bit about tabarru'at, contributory contract. Contributory contract, as you notice under the line, what is the basic difference between them and those that are above the line?
No repayments. No repayments and
No, well, no, there may be repayment. In a loan, there is repayment.
No earning.
In al-ariya, no earning. No earning. So they don't really belong to Islamic finance. They belong to social finance, to social relations, to humanitarian relations, but not directly to Islamic finance. We use them a little bit. So because of that little bit, we put them but below the line. Okay? So keep that in mind. This is the difference, no earning. In Islamic finance, essentially, we talk about contracts that will bring you earning through the use of your properties. Okay. So we want to discuss these contracts. The hybrid contract, I divide them in 2 categories. A category I call it traditional, that has become known because Islamic banks over the last 40 years, practically 40 years now, because the first Islamic bank was established in 1974. Although it did not start business until 1976, but still, as a bank, it existed. So we are talking about 40 years, 4 decades. These hybrid had spread and known in all Islamic banks. Sometimes they may change the name a little bit, but being so much known, they have become like traditional. Even probably everyone must have heard of them. Any one of you guys, did you hear of the word murabaha
Yeah.
or murabaha contract? So most likely everybody must have heard of the word murabaha contract. In fact, these contracts also became international, and they entered definitely English and French languages. And they are known, if you go on the internet, you will find all these names, murabaha, musharaka, mudaraba, all these, you find them on the IMF website as part of the glossary of the IMF, International Monetary Fund. So they have become really traditional. Maybe the others are also becoming traditional, but the other, what I call the new ones, came practically in the new millennium, and over the last 15 years. And I don't see any new thing really over the last 10 years. So practically they came in the first 5 years, beginning from 1999, if you want to be specific, and on. So these are still relatively new. They need more discussion probably. We will discuss them inshallah. We will discuss later why did we need the hybrid contract, the structured contract, العقود المولدة أو المركبة. But now let's go with the sale finance contract. We will discuss deferred payment and installment sale, بيع المؤجل, and salam and istisna, and we will see how do we do with these 3 of them. Okay, deferred payment, sale. Installment sale is exactly like deferred payment because it's really deferred payment, but instead of the payment being one installment in the future, it's being divided on different payments in the future. So it is really a form, a version, you can call it, of deferred payment. But deferred payment, then, what is it as a definition? Can you, Dusuqi, Tell me, what do you understand from it?
Yeah, basically the objective will be like the sale will happen.
Yeah, but we need a definition, not objective. Okay, it's a sale contract whereby the goods, the object of the sale, the goods are delivered at the time of sale, you can say, practically immediately, and the payment is deferred. So we have immediate delivery and deferred payment. Now that deferment may be as one payment in the future or on installment, doesn't make a difference. Okay? Of course, when the price is deferred, do we expect the price to be the same as if the payment was at the time of the contract, or we expect it to be more? It is more, and it is definitely more, and we need to look at it as in reality, what does it mean? How come it is more? Because there are some argument, you find it on the internet, and you find most imams of mosque who don't know nothing in life and they claim that they know everything. Most of them will tell you, oh, this is haram. Well, how come you are increasing the price if the payment is deferred? That's haram. You know the price is 10, how come you are charging 12? Because the payment is deferred. But that is definitely incorrect. It's incorrect on two grounds, on rational ground and on Sharia ground. Both. We can use the two approaches to realize that it is in fact incorrect, because the basic thing, let's put it in a way, as I mentioned earlier, that it's not economics if the wife of Paul Samuelson doesn't understand it, right? So it must be understood by a person who is not specialized at all, a layman in economics and finance, and it must be understood by that layman to be really rational. So we need human rationale, not sophisticated one. And let's take an example and take, as I put it in a physical way. Let's suppose my properties are these. Okay, here. These 4 items are my properties. And suppose another person's properties are some other items, like this one here. And what do I have in my pockets? I have other things. Okay, here. Okay, here. And this one here. And this one here. Okay, these are the properties of the other person. If I give you this, and suppose this is equivalent in its benefit, in its price, so to speak, to this item. If I give you this and don't give me this, it will not be fair, because look at what will happen. My enjoyment, my benefit I derive from my assets is now reduced because I missed this item, and I am not compensated for that. Okay? If you compensate me for that now, I am as good off as I was before this exchange. But if we make the exchange that you take this item and you do not give any item instead of it, I am losing the benefit from now until you pay me. And between now until you pay me, I am enjoying only these and not the other. I definitely wouldn't accept that without being compensated. So it is fair then and rational that when the price is deferred, the amount should be more. The price should be larger. I wouldn't accept then this amount only. You have to add another thing to it, like for instance this here. Okay, so you give me these two. If you are paying a month from now, I wouldn't accept the price to be that alone. Okay, and of course it's fair for you, because here you are enjoying more, and part of this additional benefit really you got it as a decline in the benefit I derive from the properties I have. I have no more. This is what we call the time preference of goods, or put it in a different way, the time value of goods. So this is a real thing, and this is where the time value of money was derived from, but was derived by a jump from goods that produce real benefits to money that can only be used as exchange. In exchange, it is not itself produce real benefit. So here where we talk about then any deferment of the payment requires that the price should be higher. Now from Sharia point of view, this is well known long time ago. One of the maxims, القواعد الفقهية, maxims of fiqh, is the one that says إن للزمن نصيبا من الثمن, that part of the price belongs to time. So time has an effect on the price. In application of this maxim, the fuqaha, you will find it as we will come to discuss it later, hopefully today, where if the commodity is deferred and payment is done now, you notice the opposite. Because you are giving me the price, you are giving me this, but not taking this. In that case, you would like to either take more of this or giving me less than the price of the cash. And this is what they call, if you defer the delivery and make the payment now, you would be able to get a lower price. بيع السلم that we will discuss it is called in fiqh also بيع المسترخصين. If you want a cheaper price, then accept deferred delivery. Pay now and take delivery later. Okay? But where does it come in Sharia from? It came even from the verses themselves. Notice the verses that say ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. Now what sale? Let's see. If I sell you this item and you pay the price this, is there any similarity to riba in this? Where is the similarity? In other words, in cash and immediate delivery, the simple sale that everybody knows. You take the item and you pay the price. As you go to the supermarket, take the item and pay the price. Is that sale, or does that sale have any similarity with riba? Nothing. In riba, notice the time element is always essential. Okay? And so here, in the sale that is إنما البيع مثل الربا, is a sale that has some similarity with riba. If it doesn't have similarity, the Quran would have answered, are you guys stupid? We have similar answer. أفلا ينظرون أفلا يتفكرون أفلا يعقلون. يعني really يعني أفلا يعقلون إيش معناها؟ معناها are you guys stupid? There you are, it means يعني ما عندكمش عقل؟ يعني this أفلا يعقلون يعني ما عندكمش عقل. Okay, so in the Quran, notice, never said that, although we have in several occasions the word أفلا يعقلون أفلا يتفكرون أفلا ينظرون came many times in the Quran, but in this regard it didn't come. In other words, there is a rationale in that similarity. So the Quran didn't say, no, they are not similar. Are you guys stupid? You don't understand what is the difference between sale and loan with increment? Well, it didn't say that. Meaning, that it is understood what they mean by sale here is a sale at a higher price with deferred payment. So what is the difference? If you go to a seller, suppose in buying a car, and you negotiate with the seller, the price of the car is 100,000, you negotiate with him, I'll pay you a year from now, and of course he wouldn't accept 100,000, well, you negotiate a price and came up with 105, okay? So you will pay 105 a year from now for that car and take the car now. Okay. Now here is one case. Another case, you go to the bank, take a loan of 100,000, pay it to the seller, and pay the bank a year from now 105. So the similarity is really there, isn't it? It's very obvious. So there is a similarity, a real similarity between riba and sale with deferred payment. But does that similarity means that sale with deferred payment at a higher price is not permissible? Definitely not. And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, literally, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. So which sale we are talking about? The sale that has similarity with riba. This is the sale we are talking about. Of course, the statement covers other sales, except one, a fabricated sale. If we create a transaction and we call it sale, let's see, breaking this table, let's call it sale. If we agree, let's call breaking the table is sale. So would that be covered? It is then covered by this verse, أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ, so it is halal to break this table? No, it's not. It's not covered. So if you call any transaction, like some, unfortunately, usually I say bad words. This time I'm not going to say it. But unfortunately, big shuyukh with long beard and short mustache and all the following of the sunnah here and there made a statement in writing, unfortunately, and it is there recorded on them, said that tawarruq is permissible, bay' al-tawarruq they called it, is permissible because God said in the Quran, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ. So this is bay'. I mean, you make any fabrication and if you call it bay', does it make it included in the word أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ? No, it does not. Definitely it does not. What is included in that, what was known as bay' at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the time of revelation. But anything you fabricate and if you call it bay', then it becomes bay'. No, that's a different thing. It won't become bay'. So tawarruq is definitely not bay'. Is a transaction that consists of 3 bay' and 2 or 3 wakala contract, and you want to call it bay' and say it is covered by that, it is really unbelievably going off the right direction. So أحل الله البيع, what is meant in it is in specific the sale with deferred payment at a higher price. Higher price but paid later, not at the time of the contract. That is what is meant by it. And few verses later came the verse of الديون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا تداينتم بدين إلى أجل مسمى فاكتبوه. The longest verse in the Quran. What kind of debt? Where do these debts come from? From this kind of sale, right? Because if riba is haram, then there is no reason, practically, except very personal relations, loan without any increment, which is very personal. So practically there is nothing there. Maybe it's not worth to be even discussed. It's an exception of the rule to say that, oh, there are loans that do not get any increment. So that's not the issue. That's not a serious issue, at least that affects business. So here, the the sale, the debts that arise between people, يا أيها الذين آمنوا, the believers, are these debts that come from sale on deferred payment. So the verse itself then justifies the increment and talks about the increment and accepts the similarity. If you want to continue the understanding of the verse. Now, I like to ask one of you, avoiding that Sharia man, no one the Sharia man. Okay. Let's ask one of the girls. Second, the young lady in the second row. Yes, you, please. Okay. The question is to you. The sale on when the Quran says ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا, and then we went directly وحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. They talk about similarities. Would that be sufficient? Similarities alone, would they be sufficient to come to a rational conclusion? What is missing? The differences, right? So the differences are not there. They said sale is like riba, okay? But how about the differences? Is that similarity rationally sufficient to make similarity in ruling? For instance, definitely if you take 2 square centimeters of my sheet here and of an elephant skin, you will find in the 2 centimeters are similar. But am I like an elephant? No. We have to look at the differences. And that applies to everything. So here, missing the differences is extremely important. And that makes a big difference, and it is as big as a difference between the halal and haram. So Monsieur Fakhruddin, what do you think, what are these differences are? Or at least tell me a basic one.
Differences in the
Between sale and riba. And let's say riba takes either of two forms. Either we give a property now, of course standardized, a loan, okay, and will be paid more in the future, or there is an already existing debt and we extend its maturity, its due date, and then increase in the amount. So either of these two cases, that's the riba. We will come to its definition later. So this is riba and sale. Can you find differences between them? Or as in the example, you buy a car from a car seller, payment deferred, 450, or you go to the bank, take a loan, 400,000, and pay the car seller 100,000 now, and take the car and pay to the bank 105 a year from now.
The price is fixed, and
The amount that you pay in both cases are the same. This is similarity. You take the car now, also similarity, right? Okay. You are under debt of 105, or again another similarity, right? You are under debt to the bank for 105 or to the seller for 105. Yes.
The difference will be in riba, there is no actual product exchange. Like there is no delivery of a product.
Okay.
No, I was gonna say the ownership, the asset ownership maybe.
In fact, both sale and loan transfer ownership. I think this is the answer. We are talking in bay' about giving goods, giving things that generate utility by themselves. In a loan, you are not giving, or in extending debt, you are not giving anything that generates utility. In sale, there is always added value created because you won't sign a sale contract, you would not enter into a sale contract unless what you get is to you at least a little better than what you give, and the same thing for the other party. So unless there is a value added created, you don't go into a debt. What value added can be created by extending a debt? Notice here we talk about a contract, the relationship, this relationship which is the loan. But if you extend a debt that is on me, I have other resources. Instead of paying these resources for the debt, I may use them for other reasons. That's a different thing. And if anything is generated of utility or of increment, it will be generated not by the extension, the action of extension of a debt. That does not generate any added value. It may be generated by the use of my resources for whatever I use them for. That would otherwise I give them to you in payment. So that's a different thing. We don't want to mix these things together. We are talking about a contract that is called loan for increment or extension of a debt for increment. That's riba. Not that, okay, but that allows you to use your other resources instead of paying. That's a different issue. How do I use them? I may make more benefit or maybe less. I may make increment or I may make a loss. That's a different issue completely. And whatever, increment or a loss, it's me who is doing it. It's not the contract between you and me by extending the debt. The extension of the debt does not create any increment. So the loan itself transfers wealth but does not increase it. And simply, I mean, under all rational accounting system, look at the balance sheet of debtor and creditor, you find them exactly, the total of them is the same before the loan and after the loan. Of course, we are not talking about the added fabrication of, let's assume it gives 5% more. That is what we are arguing. So you cannot include it. Okay? So here, the Quran itself then recognizes the difference in price in recognizing or not denying the similarity and looking at the differences that are more important because the sale creates value, whereas the riba contract, the riba relationship, in whatever form it takes, does not create added value. Yes?
I have a question. So, doctor, does this apply to everything? What's the difference between going to a conventional bank and taking not money loan, just taking a car loan where you get the car right now and pay for it also later, or doing that in an Islamic bank?
Well, the difference is that the Islamic bank is giving you a car, 405. The conventional bank doesn't give you a car, gives you money, 405, and you go and make a buy of the contract, a buy of the car for 100,000. Now, let's take it one step further. We said this is the basic difference. But what does that mean for the quantity of debts in the society compared with the in the two cases, in conventional or in Islamic? In conventional, the relationship, you can take a loan not for a car, right? For anything. You can take a loan to pay another loan, right? Of course. You can take a loan to go gamble in Las Vegas. You can take a loan for any objective, whether productive or not. Whether there is car that is being sold or not. In Islamic finance, if we link every loan to a car that is transferring ownership from one person to another? Can we make loans for more than the amount of cars, value of cars that exist in the society? Suppose the only commodity we have in the society is cars. So just to make it simple, can we make financial assets, debts, in more than the value of cars that exist in the society? That's the maximum. How about if you remove this condition and say the loan is not related to car? You can take a loan for any reason. You don't have to give a reason even to get a loan on interest. All you need to give a loan, to get a loan on interest, is two things. One, good collateral that you are going to pay back the loan, and you give good rate, attractive interest, that you are giving me 6% and I cannot get more than 6% in the market. So it is good return for me. So if you guarantee these two things, is there any limit to amount of loans that can be given? There's no limit whatsoever. Look at the reality of public debts. If we allow public debts to go, governments can go and borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow. There's no limit.
Yeah,
And spend that borrowing on whatever, on salaries or on bribes to the officers الضباط اللي around السيسي ولا بشار الأسد. You give them money. Like what at the time of his father, how much he gave money to his brother Rafat al-Assad, and he became, I think he owns some 25% of the connection, this tunnel, the Europe tunnel between Paris and London. Okay, so anyway, whatever it is, look at the amount of public debts that were generated over the last 6-7 now decades in the world, since the Second World War until now. Huge amount of public debts. This cannot happen under Islamic finance completely, because every debt that is created must be because a commodity is changing hands. So how can the government create all these debts?
But if you are saying that the commodity or the product should have value added to both parties, but in Islamic banks, don't they provide the personal finance
Yes,
through
personal
buying and selling platinum and gold?
We will cross that bridge when we reach it. We will. No, Islamic banks do not provide that. Unfortunately, Islamic banks in Qatar, because they adopt wrong fatwa, they give that.
They give personal
Okay.
loans? That's why they give personal loans.
And in Cairo also, Faisal Islamic Bank does the same. And several Islamic banks in the Gulf do that. Most Islamic banks in the Gulf do the same, which is wrong.
This is
We
not
will
supposed
cross
to
that
happen.
bridge when we reach it. Hmm?
I'm saying this is not supposed to happen in Islamic banks.
They-
Providing personal.
Yeah, this what is called, they call personal finance, and they put advertisement of it sometimes in the paper. That is, yes, wrong. It's not permissible in Islamic finance. The OIC Fiqh Academy made a decision on that point, saying that this is not permissible and it is pure riba. So what they are doing in this regard, in that point, in this transaction that is called tawarruq, is riba. Now they call it here, unfortunately, in Qatar, they call it murabaha. It's not murabaha. We will discuss that and we will know the difference. Yeah, whatever. Slash musawama. So the idea here, when you give a commodity, yes, then there is a big difference between sale and riba. But when you give cash and you call it Islamic, we will discuss that later. Okay, we will not give cash. The basic idea in sale, and this is what Allah said, أحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. The definition of sale is that you give commodity. And by definition, commodities generate utilities. That is added value. Utility is added value. Okay.
But providing cash to meet the human needs is more socially responsible thing, no, isn't it?
What?
The banks, conventional banks are providing cash for people to meet their needs. That Islamic banks, they don't.
That's right.
Probably he meant Qard al-Hasan. Probably what he meant Qard al-Hasan, there are some exceptions that
No,
Islamic
there's no Qard
loans
Hasan.
give.
Hasan. Who gives you Qard Hasan? Who is going to
Your
give?
father maybe.
Yeah, your mother.
No, sometimes banks, Islamic banks, they do. At certain circumstances.
No, they don't. Why should they? You go to the bank, Islamic bank. Why should I give you? I am an Islamic. Why should I give you a Qard Hasan?
It's subsidized by the government. They paid the expense, for certain circumstances of there's people in need. So the expense of issuing such loans is subsidized by, let's say, government or certain organizations. They pay the expense to provide certain type of loans for people who are in need. It's under certain circumstances,
So
not always.
is that what you meant?
Yeah, that's
I think that's what he meant.
But that is completely irrelevant issue.
No.
That's not what he meant.
He meant something else.
No, definitely that's not what he meant. What he meant, I think, if I understood it right, that conventional banks give you money, and by taking money, you will be taking the decision of what you do, and you will be more socially responsible. Then that makes you more socially responsible. But this argument is upside down, to tell you the truth, because an Islamic bank also does not make any decision for you. You make the decision with the same extent of responsibility of what you want to buy. And you go to the Islamic bank only to facilitate that buy. But the Islamic bank does not make the decision on your behalf. So you are still, in both cases, you are the socially responsible person.
So if somebody is in need for cash, for any reason,
Yeah, for
how
example,
can this
medical
this
education.
one take money from an Islamic bank?
Medical education, travel.
For any reason.
For any reason, the
Something
Islamic
personal.
banks are providing everything.
You want to give an answer?
Yes.
Please.
If anyone needs cash for necessity, I think in Sharia, if you are under necessity, you can even
What necessity?
take a conventional loan.
You should
that means
identify the necessity.
that means Islamic banks
Yes.
do not have any alternative.
Let's see. Yes.
No, I was adding a question actually, not an answer. This is not the necessity that we're talking about. In our daily life, what kind of commodities can the bank give me other than just a car? I need to buy food, I need to go to my hospital. If it's only a commodity that he can provide me, I think that would only be to cars and houses. That would be
I
it.
think that's
So because
Okay. Let's go back to the answer. If you need cash, why should anyone sacrifice his assets to give you part of them? There's no reason really. And the only reason is a benevolent reason. And that benevolent reason can be done by either of two persons. Either a person who cares quite a bit about you, or a person who, or an institution really, not a person, who has assigned some funds for this kind of objective. What I mean by that is the following. If you need a loan, just cash, you go to your mother. Because mother cares about you without any condition and under all circumstances only. If otherwise, the society should have institutions that provide loans to individuals who are under temporary need. We are talking about loan because it means you will pay it back. So, and that's why temporary need. And this is what the OIC Fiqh Academy said, that there ought to be in the Muslim society institutions that provide loans without interest in cases where a person needs cash. I have another argument to that point, which is important. Except in very extreme rare cases, I would say that Islamic finance can provide for anything you want the cash for. Why do you want the cash? You said, if I need a cash, why do you need a cash? Somebody here said for medical, for education, for all these, Islamic finance can provide for it. There are appropriate approaches, appropriate methodologies and contract to provide for all these. Some of them already exist in the market today, in more than one country, like financing education and financing medical health also. They do exist in some societies under the Islamic terms. I said in most of the cases, not in all, because if you want the loan to pay a previous loan, that doesn't exist. That does not exist in the Islamic system at all. And the answer to that, well, what difference does it make between making X or Y the creditor? So let's ask that creditor to delay without increment the amount of the due date, which is, as mentioned in the Quran, فَنَظِرَةٌ إِلَى مَيْسَرَةٍ. So this is where it is. But all other needs that are needs to be spent on anything, that can be done. Of course, there is another exception. If someone wants to spend it on something that is not permissible, either in Sharia or social, then again, that person wouldn't find that through the Islamic finance. For instance, someone wants to buy liquor or buy opium, drugs, okay? He won't find it from Islamic finance. But if someone wants to buy medicine, will find it. Or to buy medical service, for like paying for medical service, hospital or doctor or whatever, that can be within the Islamic finance. Of course, education already exists in more than one country, in several countries. So that can be done then. The only case is these two. If you want something that is not permissible either in Sharia or socially, or if you want just to pay another debt. Okay? So the idea of deferred payment then is very fundamental and very basic, and the basic difference between it and riba is we provide goods here, we provide commodities, there we provide only a cash or loan standardized property. It doesn't have to be cash, it could be any other property, but standardized property and will be returned as the same standardized property. Now this difference has a whole list of other differences. There will be no more transactions in the whole economy beyond the limit of the amount of goods that exist, goods and services, of course, that exist in the society. Because the maximum you give is for all these actual transactions. Many things that come as a result of that, whereby even the financial and economic crises that are caused by financial crisis since 1929 until now, they were the element of the expansion of the finance market was essential in all these crises. And the finance market was expanded much more than what is relevant to the amount of goods and services in the society. And we will come to discuss that again more and more. So the way this deferred payment works, we will give you, Fahad, yeah, we'll give you the last 10 minutes, in a few minutes.
I think I'm presented today also with that. I'm supposed to present today.
Yours?
Yeah, I'm supposed to present today with that.
Did you send me your?
Yeah, I sent you. Market bond regulation. Market bond regulation.
Uh-huh.
I sent it to you.
Your turn was today?
Yeah, it's
Why didn't you remind me earlier? So we'll leave you until Tuesday, until Saturday. Okay? So we take it in a quick way. This is the way it is done, the steps that are done in it. A customer and the, say, Kuwait Finance House, which is an Islamic bank. We make sale of goods, could be from inventory, and that is special case for Kuwait Finance House, which is very unreasonable, really, and uncommon. They hold inventory of some kinds of goods like cars and household appliances. And then you give the promissory note for payment in the future, and in the future you make payment. So the goods are delivered at the time of the sale, and the payment is done in the future in a simple way. That this can be on murabaha basis or on musawama basis. The difference between murabaha and musawama is very simple difference we should keep in mind. It does not affect who makes the decision to buy. It is always the customer who makes the decision to buy, not the bank. So you want a car, you decide what car you want and select it and do whatever and go to the bank. Suppose you go to Kuwait Finance House, and if you select a car from what they have, it will be musawama, that they will discuss the price with you of it. If you select a car from other dealers, they can still equally finance you, and will finance you on murabaha basis, because you bring the amount of the price of the car that you negotiated with the car dealer. So it is the difference is not definitely in who makes the decision. The difference is even sometimes, not sometimes, I should say most of the times, only in the formality of the contract. Because remember, murabaha, we called it amana sale. And amana requires declaration, exact declaration of price and profit, of cost and profit. So the sale price consists of the total of the two. Whereas musawama does not require this declaration. It's only that difference that makes. You take a car from the inventory of Kuwait Finance House and doesn't need to tell you what is the cost for it. You just negotiate the price, and no knowledge of cost and no knowledge of the amount of profit. But you take a car from any dealer, and here in Qatar, for instance, they don't have that inventory like Kuwait Finance House, and you go with that offer from the dealer to the bank to finance it. So it negotiates with you the amount of profit they will add depending on the way of payment and the period through which you are going to pay.
So in Morocco has 3 parties, it has to be 3 parties?
Hmm?
They have to be 3 parties?
No, we will discuss it. No, murabaha is 2 party. There are no sale contracts that can be 3 parties according to Sharia. Any contract, sale contract, is always between 2 parties only. The only case where there may be more than 2 parties is in musharak, in sharikat. There may be 2, 3 partners, whatever number of partners, doesn't matter. But all exchange contract that applies to sale, and remember also we call leasing a kind of exchange contract. All exchange contracts have 2 parties only, cannot have more than 2 parties. Okay. Now I think we are not going to go to the salam. We'll discuss it on Saturday, 10 days from now, and we will have you, and we will have whoever is on the list on the presentation. And please, whoever is on the presentation for the 10th of February, remember that you have to send me the report before next Saturday is okay. And you will be presenting it, even if we have 3 or 4, on Saturday when we meet, inshallah, in this place. Saturday at 9, which will be what? Saturday will be what, 14 or 15? 14, okay. Saturday, 14 of February. Okay? Right.
The next Saturday, we have to submit for the Saturday.
Yes, next Saturday is required for the next one. And before we get this, do I have 2 volunteers for the next? Here is one. And you didn't volunteer yet?
No,
He volunteered before you.
I did not.
Okay, we'll take it next week, inshallah. Okay, so we'll take these 2, and you need to remind me of your names, and I need to put them here. Okay, tell me the names, and I'll put it here. I'll mark it here. And I think we have only one Hamda, right? Hamda al-Lahid. Okay, here is Hamda and Muhammad Idris. Muhammad Idris, Muhammad Saeed. Okay. Anyway, you will get the instruction as they are, and it's exactly as we discussed earlier. But sometimes in the future, probably I'll ask some of you to make not true and false, multiple choice questions, for the same homework to be multiple choice questions. من الشرح ومن chapter 4 of the book Islamic Finance Contract that is available on Manhaj. So it's available free on your Manhaj. Okay? تفضل يا أيها العربي.
شكرا جزيلا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I will try to briefly highlight on some of the important points that the author has highlighted on his article. The name of my article is Regulation and Performance of Islamic Bank in Bangladesh. The author at the beginning has touched on some of the legal issues that face Islamic banks on Bangladesh. And some of these issues, as he described within the article, was, for example, lack of well-defined regulatory and supervisory framework for Islamic banks, and also the absence of an interbank Islamic money market. And there are many of them, but for the sake of time, I just mentioned these 2. The other points that he touched on was the size of both banks in Bangladesh. He gave us approximately the size of conventional banks as opposed to Islamic on Bangladesh. There are a total of 51 conventional and foreign banks in Bangladesh, and out of this total, there is only 6 Islamics, according to his article. So,
But did you get the date of publication of that article, or you don't have it?
no, this application, no.
You don't have it?
No.
Because as of, I think, 3 years ago even, 2011, the largest bank in Bangladesh is the Islamic Bank of Bangladesh.
Wow.
The largest among all the conventional and Islamic bank
Okay.
is the first, which was the first Islamic bank established in Bangladesh. It's called the Islamic Bank of Bangladesh.
Okay. The third point, he also emphasized the period of operation of both banks in the country, where he stated that the period of operation of Islamic banks in Bangladesh was very minimal of 22 years compared to conventionals, where they have been operated in Bangladesh for many decades. And also he touched on the treatment of Islamic banks in Bangladesh compared to other Muslim countries. For example, if you see the treatment of Islamic banks on Sudan or Malaysia, you will find out that these banks have their own regulation, their own acts, as opposed to Bangladesh, where Islamic banks, they have to face the reality of following the regulations and everything that has been enacted for the conventional bank. So whatever conventional is doing, Islamic bank must face it. And also he touched on some of the important factors, if done by Islamic finance, will help to contribute to have a very competitive Islamic banks system in Bangladesh. And some of these factors that he mentioned were, for example, he said the Islamic banks must find a suitable alternatives for interest rate in the country. They must find a suitable alternative. And another factor that would help to have a competitive Islamic environment in Bangladesh is a well-trained personnel that work within the labor force of Islamic banks. As we all know that a trade personnel employee are considered to be a valuable assets to any organizations. And also he emphasized on the quality of services that should be provided by Islamic banks. Because if they don't have a very good quality of service, clients could simply go to different services such as the conventionals, where they do have more products as opposed to Islamic banks. And the last point that I agree with the author was the spread. He suggested within his article that Islamic banks should be spread within the country, because if that happens, it would help the country, the client of Islamic banks in some ways.
Geographical spread, you mean?
Yes,
Okay.
within the country. And he said that if the Islamic banks are spread or disseminated within the country, this would give an advantage to clients who are going to Islamic banking systems, such as, he said, one of these things that would help is, here is a good point that that the cost, for example, of getting products from the Islamic banks will be available to those who are in need for it. And the second point, I agree with him that the Islamic banks on Bangladesh does not have the legal support of the government of Bangladesh. As I stated at the beginning, that the regulations that have been enacted by the government of Bangladesh are engineered and designed to serve the need of conventional banks.
And they not make any special...
Yes, so there is no special regulations that help Islamic banks to operate as easily as the conventional in Bangladesh.
That's the main. Right. Any question? We have 3 minutes. Any questions?
Thank you.
You are dismissed.